Hello, Friendly Living Stretch. My name is Alex Schneider. I am back shooting another podcast with my good friend and co-host, as always,
Paul Epi. Alex, my name is Paul Epi. Alex, I hope you had a good vacation, nice and relaxing, and get ready to, one, do these podcasts again, and two, go back to school soon.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to the school thing. It's creeping up on me way too fast. Not looking forward to it. But yes, I had a fairly good vacation. We took the girlfriend's kid down there. Didn't sleep in at all. Not one bit. It sucked. So I am very, very tired right now. But I'm not too tired of talking about Cardinal baseball. Even though I did miss about a week, I didn't stay up on it too much. I looked at ESPN. I think one time when I was down there. So I had a weekend of no sports, no nothing except what came across my phone, which was kind of nice for a change.
That's not a bad break. If you can get away from it once or twice a season, it is sort of nice to purge yourself of all the drama going on in sports, and especially in with what's going on with the Cardinals right now.
Yeah, but nonetheless, I did just see that the Cardinals did just take 2 of 3 from the Cubs. The first game was
split. Actually, it was a split. They played 4 in Chicago. Game? Yeah, it was a 4-game series, and they split it.
Okay. Then I guess it was the second game. Then the 13-2 or whatever. That was a really ugly game.
Right.
But they do need to play 500 against the good teams, and they did that this weekend against the Cubs. Mm-hmm. So that is a good sign to see. That one game did get away from them. I'm not really sure what happened. It just sounded like batting practice for the Cubs.
It was. And before we get to the Cubs, I want to touch on the Reds series just real quickly. The Cardinals took 2 of 3 from Cincinnati, but the game everyone should be talking about was last Monday. It was a 5-4 Cardinals victory. It was sort of an interesting game. I was at the game, and the Reds took an early lead in the second inning, and I was thinking to myself, "Oh, great, here we go again. The Reds are going to beat the Cardinals." It was 4-0 from the third inning on, and when the Cardinals came to bat in the bottom of the ninth inning, they were able to post a 5-run rally, and it was sort of amazing because half the crowd was gone, and I was just sort of sitting there talking baseball with one of my friends, and we watched the Cardinals put up 5 runs on the board in a comeback victory. And what was especially nice about it was that it came with 2 outs. I'm looking at the play-by-play here on ESPN, and it says Molina singled to right, and then Peralta and Jerko both flied out to right. So you have 2 out, 1 on, and you're down by 4 runs, and then the Cardinals are able to eke out a victory through a series of singles and hit batsmen and walks. It was sort of what we thought was going to be a launching point for the season. We've been saying that for a while. Can the Cardinals finally make something good out of this? They were able to take the series, which was good, which is what they needed to do because the Reds, as we said, are just terrible. That's when they moved on to Chicago. Thursday's game was disappointing because they went into the 11th inning tied, and they walked in the winning run for Chicago. I wasn't a huge fan of the strike zone from the home plate umpire, but that's a different story. And then, as you said, Saturday's game was a slugfest for the Cubs. The final score was 13-2, 13-2, and from the first inning on, you just realized, okay, the Cubs are just going to hit 15 home runs. And then Saturday and Sunday, we saw the rookie pitchers. Luke Weaver came in for the Cardinals and pitched 4 innings and two runs, which isn't half bad considering. And then Sunday, they were able to come from behind and get a victory as well.
Yeah, that was on a big I know Piscotty, Grichuk, and Moss all had big home runs. I don't know if they were all in the same game.
Grichuk had the one on Saturday. He hit the grand slam, and that sort of sealed the deal for the Cardinals. I think Moss hit one on Friday or Saturday, and then Moss hit one on Sunday as well, and then so did Piscotty.
Okay, so it sounds like good offense is coming through on those last 2 games. And I guess everything was going well. The first game just kind of slipped away. Pitching kind of gave it up.
Yeah, it was. It I gotta admit, it was a really good game, and I'm not like angry at the Cardinals for losing it. It's just sort of disappointing. I'm looking at the box score, and the Cardinals were down 3-2 going into the eighth inning. Wait, no, sorry, they were up. Well, the box scores being a little weird on me. Sorry, it was 3-3 going into the eighth inning. And the bullpen was looking good, and they just got into too much trouble in the 11th, and they loaded the bases with 2 outs, and it all came down to that 1-3-2 pitch, and it call didn't go their way.
Yeah, but in a lot of your playoff games, you're going to have a lot of come behind victories, and it looks like the Cardinals are, as of late, are able to accomplish that. Not saying that that's how they should finish the season, is a bunch of comeback wins, but that looks good. Real quick, since Brandon Moss has been the topic of discussion so far, talking about the series, I got, a little alert on my phone the other day, and it said that an interview was done, and Brandon Moss said that he would like to resign with the Cardinals, and I guess they went and talked to Cardinals front office, and the Cardinals are willing to have him back too, which is kind of surprising because after they traded for him, he didn't really produce that much, and then this year has done nothing but produce for the most part. And it has been playing really good baseball and has been the Brandon Moss that we expected he was going to be. Bat around 250, 260, but hit probably, 20, 25, if we're lucky, 30 bombs. And he has done that so far. So I don't have a problem bringing him back. But the question I want to propose to you, Paul, is do you think that – not that, but do you think that he's a viable option for you at first base defensively? Or do you think that he's –
or Brandon Moss?
Brandon Moss. Do you think that he can play defensive first base pretty good, outfield pretty good? Or do you think that, he could be part of the first wave of National League DHs?
No, I think he could be a very good first baseman. I think he'd be average. He would get the job done. He wouldn't be anything sexy or special, but he would certainly get the job done. But my opinion on Brandon Moss and Matt Holliday is this. Personally, I don't see a need to bring back Holliday next year if he's going to play the outfield. Because when you're comparing Matt Holliday and Brandon Moss, their defenses are pretty much the same, below average. I'd say maybe Brandon Moss is a step above Matt Holliday, but not by much, certainly. I think Matt Holliday is a defensive liability out in left field, and there's a clear need for there to be a defensive upgrade next season. I'm not sure Brandon Moss is considered a defensive upgrade, but he's not going to make you worse on defense. And Matt Holliday isn't going to get any better with a bat in his hands. He's continuing to get older. He's not going to be all that productive with a bat in his hands. Brandon Moss probably will be next season. So why not plug in Moss in left field? And if Holliday can play first base, by all means bring him back. If he can't play first base, I don't see a need for him.
So what you're saying is you'd like to see – because I'm almost positive that Piscotty played left field a lot when he first came up as defensive substitution for Holliday. So could you see a Piscotty left, Grichuk center, and Moss in right field, and Matt Holliday at first base?
I could see that, yeah. I just don't see a need for Holliday to play the outfield because, like I said, he's a liability. He's not fun to watch. I just don't think he's a good outfielder. Sorry.
Okay.
I still think he has value with a bat in his hands, but I don't think it's as a number 3 hitter either. I think with his diminished production, he's not going to be a good 3 hitter next season.
Probably 6 or 7.
If he's a 5 or a 6 or maybe even a 7, that's fine because the way I see it with the Cardinals is you have Aledmus Diaz, Matt Carpenter, and Steven Piscotty somehow arranging those 3 into the top 3 in the lineup. I don't see a need for Matt Holliday.
Yeah, and then with Randall Grichuk possibly getting better with his offensive production, he's probably going to be within the top 4 along with those guys. And Johnny Peralta has another 2 years left on his contract,
Right.
and they're not really sure about what they're planning on doing with him right now, given the fact that Aledmus Diaz has come through so well. Honestly, I think with the positioning with Johnny Peralta all depends on what happens with Colton Wong.
Yeah,
If Colton Wong can get second base down and understand what he has to do and can do it productively, then I think that puts the Cardinals kind of in a bind on what to do with Peralta. Because you have to have Matt Carpenter in the lineup.
of course, and
you have to.
And the good thing about this is that Carpenter can play first base because he's been playing first base for a lot of this Cubs series, second base or third base. So you do have that flexibility.
Was Wong playing second base then for the Cubs series?
Jerko was.
Okay, so Jerko was at second, Peralta at third?
Peralta was at third, Garcia at short, and then Carpenter at first.
Okay. That's a pretty good infield, I would say. I'm still not sold on Jed Jerko defensively. I love his bat.
Yeah, I think the one of the big reasons, if not the main reason, he's in the lineup every night is because of his bat, and that's fine because I think he plays average defense, but he's nothing special out there.
Yeah, I'm not really sold on his defense. I don't know. I liked him when he was with San Diego. He was okay. He was just kind of those players that I really don't have an opinion on. I don't know. I'm a huge Colton Wong fan, so I'd much rather see Colton Wong at second base.
I would too. I would too. I would like to see him there too because I just want to see him succeed. But I mean, I can't confidently tell you with a straight face that Colton Wong's better than Jed Jerko.
Yeah, I can understand that. I don't think, though, that he gets any better with less reps. You have to have multiple – you have to have games and games and games and more games under your belt at a position to understand that. And people, you got to understand that he didn't start playing second base until, like, his senior year of college. So he is – yeah, he is, really new at this second base thing in baseball career-wise. Other than second base, he's played catcher and he's played outfield, and then he learned how to play, second base. So, give him some slack on that. I was just curious. I'd like to see the Cardinals re-sign Moss. And honestly, I'd like to see him put him in left field because I think Piscotty plays an awesome, awesome right field. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to see him be re-signed. I think that's a great idea.
One more thing about Matt Holliday is that if the Cardinals decide to bring him back next year, he's going to have $17 million, or he's going to be making $17 million. Are you telling me, or I'm not saying you specifically, but say someone arguing that Matt Holliday should come back and play the outfield? Are you telling me that having a very subpar defensive outfielder and a guy who can barely hit third in the lineup is worth $17 million? I don't think so.
Well, to be fair to Matt Holliday, he has come out and as well as the Cardinals front office and say they may not take the option, they'll decline his option, and then restructure a contract to fit the money needs. That's what the discussion was at the beginning of the season. I don't know if that's still in the cards. Obviously, he has stopped talking about it since the season.
That's a very good point. I did not think of that, so thank you for telling me about that. But I just feel like he's the current state of Matt Holliday is not worth $17 million. I love him as a player. I love him as a guy. But we're in the business of winning.
Yeah, and the Cardinals definitely this offseason need to save as much money as possible to either get some bullpen help this offseason or wait until 2017's offseason because that is a huge, huge class of free agents. Like Clayton Kershaw's in on that one, but I'm sure he'll re-sign with the Dodgers. He's probably not leaving anywhere.
Manny Machado, Bryce Harper, I think Donaldson's in there. Yeah.
No, Donaldson signed an extension.
Did he really? Okay.
I saw it was a two-year extension. I believe. So he plays next year and the year after, I believe. I don't know. I saw him on something a while back that he signed a contract extension. I believe it was 2 years. I don't know. But a lot of the people he is mentioning, like Bryce Harper is probably going to stay with the Nationals. Manny Machado is probably going to stay with the Orioles. And Marshall's probably going to stay with the Dodgers. But just real quick, because you brought those up, and I'm kind of curious, if you could pick one out of those three that would leave their team and go somewhere else.
I think Bryce Harper's leaving the Nationals.
You do?
I think Bryce Harper and Manny Machado is close second. And I don't want to hit this for too long, but I think Bryce Harper is he sort of has the personality and the charisma, I guess. That's the right word. I don't know. He sort of has the aura around him, swagger, that he's going to go test the market and he's going to get whoever pays him the most. Or that's the Nationals or the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Tigers or the Rangers, the Cardinals. I think he's going to do that. I think Manny Machado could do the same. I agree with you on Kershaw. I think he's for sure staying with the Dodgers.
Okay, so if I was wrong about the Donaldson thing, then do you think Donaldson stays in Toronto?
I hope so because I don't want to play him for a National League team. I think he could, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he wants to go elsewhere. I think it depends on how the Blue Jays are doing. If they have a future, I think they should go ahead and re-sign him, and they should make it happen. If not, then Donaldson will probably take his talents elsewhere.
Real quick, since we are talking about Cardinals and the free agents, I got a couple ideas I want to run past you that I just thought of since we're talking about Toronto. Jose Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion are free agents at the end of this season.
Yep.
Jose Bautista has said he's not taking a hometown discount, said that he's done that for years, and now wants, big money contract.
Money. Right.
Yeah. Do you think that is a play the Cardinals could go after and not even re-sign Moss, sign Jose Bautista, put Piscotty in left and Bautista in right? Is that an option?
Be fun to watch.
Or do you think
that'd be fun?
It would be fun, but here's the thing, though. They've already come out and said that they want to re-sign Moss. Do you think that that's even an option that they would entertain, is Bautista?
I think they could entertain it for sure. I don't think it'll happen.
36 years old?
Yeah, and he has a lot of injury history, too. Moss doesn't really have that.
Okay. Like I said, that has been a big storyline this season, and if you pay attention to not just Cardinal baseball, you have to kind of pay attention to all of baseball. Jose Bautista talking about his free agent season has kind of been, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say angry, but he's kind
of cuff.
He's kind of put his foot down and said, "This is what I want, and I'm not taking anything less." And I honestly think that Toronto's getting a little bit weary of that because Jose Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion is a huge part of their lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since they traded Adam Lind, they've had Justin Smoke and Encarnacion. Granted, Encarnacion has been doing a lot of the DHing. Honestly, just real quick, my thoughts on the whole Bryce Harper, Machado, and Kershaw. I agree with you that I think Kershaw's going to stay. I don't think there's any chance that he leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Harper, I could see leaving, but he has the swagger for an American League team.
Yeah, he does.
I'm thinking, there's one team that's losing a big poppy kind of a bat.
And that'd be the Red Sox, right?
And, they're losing them this year, so maybe next year it's time to upgrade a little bit.
Yep. And they have shown no concerns about opening up their wallet. So, sure.
Yeah. And they're talking that maybe Hanley takes over DH. But if you can sign a guy like Bryce Harper,
you're set for the next 10 years. Yep.
Yeah, I think that there's some people that play that outfield that wouldn't mind maybe taking a couple reps at some first base.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a little bit. The Red Sox do need some outfield help because they don't have a good left fielder right now. So Bryce Harper could fit in there in the right field. And I do agree with you with the Manny Machado. I could see him leaving because the Orioles now are getting old. Jonathan Scope is probably their youngest player other than Manny Machado. Everybody else is probably in their 30s, mid-30s. Jones.
Davis, Trumbo.
Wieters is like 32. J.J. Hardy's like 112. And their pitching is awful. So I don't think the Orioles are going to be relevant here too long. They've had a good fun run. I love watching the Orioles, but I could see Machado leaving. But we can touch on that in the series thing. Paul's got an idea real quick.
I have two things for you real quick, and I'm going to try and make them quick. One, the Cardinals are 7-6 against the Cubs this season. If they can make the playoffs, I'm just saying if they play the Cubs again, why can't the Cardinals beat them? They're 7-6. They've hung with them for almost every game except for the 13-2 game. If the Cardinals get to the playoffs, anything can happen, folks.
I agree with you. I don't think that the Cubs are that. The Cubs, at the start of the season, were a scary team, and that's basically.
And they still are a scary team, but they're also very beatable for a team like the Cardinals.
Yeah, and like what I was going to say, the reason they have this giant lead is because the Cardinals at the start of the season start off really slow, and the Cubs just zoom past everybody. That's what this lead in the division is. Those games are now. So if the Cardinals can cut into those games, I don't think they're catching the Cubs. We have said this multiple times this season. But yes, I could see the Cardinals coming in and getting to the Cubs and doing because the Cubs have, I believe, the best record in baseball right now.
They do, and we've seen is that if you win that wild card, you can easily win a series or two or the World Series. Look at the Royals, look at the Giants, look at the Pirates,
look at the Cubs.
Look at the Cubs. It seems like that this wild card trend is sort of a slingshot for whoever wins that game can win an NLDS or an NLCS or a World Series.
But I do believe that the Cardinals could go from a wild card team and propel themselves past the Cubs, and I think that that's going to be their biggest obstacle is going to be getting past the Cubs. But I do think that for a team that's doing so well, they have spots on the roster that are big, giant, gaping holes.
Yep.
That I think that the Cardinals could, kind of target and show to everybody, catcher for them. Miguel Montero is not a great catcher. I know that Contreras guy was a catcher for him, but he's played some outfield here recently. And that's the thing, too. And I got to raise this question. If you're a Cubs fan out there, I need you to tell me, why do you trade for Miguel Montero and sign David Ross if you have a person like Kyle Schwarber, he is hurt, and Contreras that are catchers, that are young, that can do the job, and they have done the job consistently through their baseball career, and you're not going to let them catch?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. David Ross is going to retire at the end of the season, so he's gone. But as you said, Montero isn't all that great of a catcher. That's a good point. Yeah,
Kyle Schwarber is one of the best offensive talents, young talents, that have come into the game as of recent, and all he's done is catch, and everybody you listen to says that he's a huge liability in the outfield. So why don't you put him back in the spot where he's not a liability and let him catch? That's a huge thing for baseball is everybody's worried about, the catcher's knees, blah, blah, blah. Well, when he gets to be 40 and if he's still catching, okay, then, have him play some first base or something. But he's been catching his entire life. You can't just sign an outfielder, draft an outfielder and say, hey, your knees are pretty good. You're going to catch for us now. Or a first baseman and say, you're going to catch for us now. Let the catchers catch, and I'll play the outfield. They're catchers. They're not the most mobile people. So you don't put them in a position where all they're doing is running.
Can you imagine Matt Holliday catching or Yadier Molina playing the outfield? Come on.
If I ever see Yadier Molina playing the outfield, I will not be a fan of the Cardinal baseball. I will quit. I will watch somebody else. I will be a strict Red Sox fan.
I'm going to wrap this up on this last topic here. We mentioned Brandon Moss, Matt Holliday, Wong, Grichuk, everybody. The one name we didn't mention, Matt Adams. Where does this leave him? I think the Cardinals, he's expendable at this point. When you have so many guys that can play first base, Carpenter, Moss, Piscotty, I think he becomes expendable. I think he becomes almost a trade chip for next season. What if the Cardinals want to go out and make a trade and get a first baseman. Or, sorry, not get a first baseman, but trade a first baseman.
I understand what you're saying by the numbers, by how many there are, but they've only used 2 that we have right now.
True.
They've only used really Moss and Adams. Carpenter's played there as of late. Solid defensive versus the Cubs. Excuse me. If they re-sign Moss and they don't want Holiday playing the outfield, there's a chance that they could not re-sign Holiday. I think that all signs. Mm-hmm. I think all signs kind of point to keeping Holiday. Let him finish his career with the Cardinals. That's what he wants to do. He wants to retire a Cardinal, and I don't doubt him for that. This organization has given him everything, and he's stated that outright. Yeah, I mean, I could honestly, and this is going to be stupid, but I could honestly see if the Cardinals make a push this offseason, or not this offseason, in this postseason, and Holiday's a key contributor in that push.
He's coming back for sure.
Well, not even that, but I could see them re-signing him and putting him back out in left field next season.
I hope not, but I mean, I think the Cardinals will sign Matt Holiday. That's my prediction. I think they will. But from a baseball standpoint, all I'm saying is it doesn't make much sense for him to play the outfield next season.
Yeah, and what we're talking about right now is probably a push for NL DHs. Because you have a lot of teams, you have a lot of National League teams that have some bats that just don't fit, but
right.
could be utilized. You're talking about if you have a DH in the National League, which I've kind of opened up to now. I do like the fact that pitchers hit, but if this is a D, then pitchers hitting is probably not the best thing. Madison Bumgarner will probably have something to say about that. I don't think NLDH should be that. I think you should allow the pitchers to choose if they want to hit or not at their own risk. If they do get hurt, that money comes out of their pocket. You don't get paid for that. But I think that this is a huge push for the NLDH with this predicament the Cardinals are having. And John Mozeliak has pretty much put that back on the table, and it didn't get laughed off the table when he put it back on there. That happened last season with Adam Wainwright getting hurt, running. So I think that it could happen here in the next couple of years. I don't think it's happening next year. It is something that's being discussed. But, man, that is a hard thing to figure out what you do with Matt Adams. I would say Colorado, but Colorado has found a nice home with Mark Reynolds as their first baseman.
Yep.
Man, he could be – you could probably trade him to the Red Sox after this year, let him play some first, and hand ram DH. I don't know who you're going to get from the Red Sox, if anything.
Yeah. 1 for 1, you're not going to get much from Matt Adams.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a very good question, and it's going to be really fun to kind of see. And the Cardinals could sign Matt Adams, or not Matt Adams. They could re-sign Moss. They could re-sign Holiday and keep Adams and just kind of go from there.
Yeah, they could do it any combination of the 3, exactly.
Yeah, they don't. Let's just put it this way, people. They don't listen to us two knuckleheads talk about what they should do with one player. They're going to do their own thing. I'm sure Mozeliak's been thinking about it and has got a way that it's going to work out just perfect and is going to be just fine. And everything's going to be okay. So everybody just, we don't need to freak out about it. Real quick, the last thing I want to end on is this is the last thing that just kind of hit me. I saw another person put on a social media site a close friend of mine, actually a family member of mine, put on Facebook, "Fire Mike Matheny."
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on this. The only thing I'm going to say is, there's a reason you are not managing. There's a reason you are sitting on the couch. I call them couch managers. And do I think Matheny has his moments? Sure. But guess what? Every manager has their moments. Deal with it.
I totally agree. We have discussed this at length at too much length. If you people listen to us, pay attention. If this is the one thing you take from this show, take it and run with it and tell everybody. Are there better managers than Mike Matheny? Yes. Yes, there just are.
I can name at least 5 off the top of my head, yeah.
Yeah, La Russa was great. Terry Francona is great. Buck Showalter is great. Who else? Bruce Bochy is awesome.
Don Mattingly, maybe.
Don Mattingly, he's good.
Joe
Madden, who's doing it with the Cubs right now, is great. So yes, there are way better managers than Mike Matheny, but there are worse managers than Mike Matheny. What's the guy that's managing Milwaukee? Don't even know his name.
Craig Counsell. Robin Ventura.
Yeah, Craig Counsell. Robin Ventura. Terrible. Awful. Just
whoever the guys with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, Hale. Isn't his name Hale?
Yeah, sure. That's fine.
I think it's his name. So, yes, there are way better managers than Mike Matheny. Yes, he was a player, not just a straight manager. Joe Madden is a great baseball mind, but I don't think that he played professional baseball. Buck Showalter has been managing for like 50,000 years now and has managed some teams. Y'all wouldn't think he managed the Yankees for a couple seasons. And I bet none of you guys knew that. So, yes, worse. There are better, but there are definitely worse. So just take the middle ground. Be thankful to have a manager that actually sometimes knows what he's doing. Because in the Cardinals organization, if you guys didn't know, John Mozeliak pulls a lot of those strings. Mike Matheny's almost like a puppet. Let's be real. And when it gets to the season, some of the coaches they have, Mabry, a hitting coach, is not worth shit during the regular season. You literally could have him sit at home and collect a check because he's not going to be like, hey, on that 2-strike call, you're kind of pulling your hips a little bit. Doesn't matter. You don't have practice the next day. You have another game, so you just kind of have to get over it. So get over the fact that Mike Matheny is the manager of the Cardinals and go about your day and
enjoy the ride for the playoff push.
Exactly, and cry about Donald. You know what's a serious problem is Donald Trump's running for president. That's a serious problem.
No, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this politics on here. Later.
No, I'm just saying that. Focus on something else that's bigger in your life, like when you're going to mow your grass, rather than the guy getting paid millions to coach a kids game. So done talking about this topic. It is ridiculously stupid. It shows how dumb people really are when they talk about baseball. And it's dumb. It's almost as dumb as batting John Jaso first in your lineup. It's like up there with that. It's so dumb. So just stop talking about it. The season's almost over. They're not planning on getting rid of Mike Matheny. So you're going to see that number 22, Matheny. Is he 22 since Hayward left?
22, yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so you're going to see 22 Matheny next year in the opening day ceremony with all the Clydesdales and all those Hall of Famers. He's going to be back on the line. He ain't going nowhere. So just shut your mouth and worry about your grass. This topic is over. I'm so done discussing it.
We're going to end it on that.
Oh my gosh. We're going to end on that. It was great to be back. I love shooting these videos. A good week away. Fired up about what's coming up with the postseason's coming up. Real quick, we didn't hit on it.
Go ahead.
You didn't hit on this. You forgot to remind me. Carlos Gomez might be coming to your St. Louis Cardinals in a trade. Maybe. There's some minor talks.
He could also be going to the Marlins. He could also be going to the Mets. That's probably a topic for the MLB.
We will touch on that later because I don't want to drag us out anymore. But like I said, I'm glad to be back. Thank you guys for showing Paul some love. I appreciate it very, very much. The Facebook stuff was blowing up. Got a lot of people. I reached out to tons of people. So thank you guys very, very much. Loyal fans is what we want. Tell your friends, tell your family. Tell the people that watch this that if they hate Mike Matheny being the manager, they can watch this episode right here. But as for the 11th inning stretch, my name is Alex Schneider. As always, with my good friend and co-host,
Paul Eppy.
We're going to close this podcast off. Thank you guys. Have a good week. We will see you on Wednesday with another podcast, and future videos are still to come. Thank you guys very much.